Hello everyone, Jester Bell is back with a review for the new streaming service, HBO Max, which is now Warner Brothers streaming service, to enter the whole streaming wars. And this one I think people weren't as hyped about as Disney Plus. Because, Disney Plus was like, well, we know they have Marvel, they have Star Wars, even though they've destroyed Star Wars. Disney has made up a really strong brand, so everyone was really excited for that, and it had almost like reported of almost 10 million subscribers immediately for Disney Plus. That's nowhere near as much as Netflix, but it's still pretty huge. And HBO Max comparatively only got 90,000 subscribers on their first day. That is really low. Of course, that doesn't count up the people who already were signed up with HBO Now. But suffice to say, people aren't as familiar with the WB brand as Disney. But I am, and so I signed up for HBO Max. I was really curious about it, and it's a much more. It's probably the most expensive streaming service at launch. It's $14.99, and of course that's about as much as how Netflix costs now. But this is at launch, and Disney was offering Disney Plus for like $6.99. So price point was a little bit of a problem for me, but I got on HBO Max, and I actually really really liked it. It has, like most streaming services, and this is true for Disney Plus as well. It just has a great backlog of movies and TV shows that I'd never seen before, and it has things like vintage Looney Tunes, and I'm a huge fan of Looney Tunes, so I of course was gonna get on there to watch that, and I was just so nice to be able to have them on a streaming platform, and they don't have every Looney Tune cartoon that's ever existed, and I don't think they'll ever do that because they like to keep circulating them and keeping people interested in seeing them and coming across different episodes they haven't seen yet. But they did have a lot, and I'm sure they'll get more. And they did have various things of Looney Tunes throughout the years, like they had the Looney Tunes show, which is more of a sitcom, which I want to watch, and they had their new series out, which I saw that it was getting into some controversy because they're like, oh, they won't let Elmer Fudd use a gun, and that was kind of funny to me because it's a pretty violent show, and it's one that I actually kind of liked it, and I thought that it was kind of the best homage to the original Looney Tunes they could have done. It's obviously computer animated, but they really tried to capture the same kind of style, hand-drawn style that they used to do back then, and capture the same designs for the characters, like all the way going back to the 30s. But I just think it was an entertaining show, the new Looney Tunes show, and I think it's as close as they've come to recapturing the original cartoons, but you just can't recapture them. You can't recapture Mel Blanc's voice work. You can't exactly capture the jokes they would make, the way that they would get people to laugh, even though they tried. And I just think that there's just no way you can recreate someone's work like that. But they tried, and that's why I enjoyed that show. Uh, and there's a lot of other, cartoons from the background, from, way back. They have Flintstones, they have Jetsons, they have all the Scooby-Doo cartoons. So if you're a cartoon person, I would definitely check this out, positive there. They have a lot of old films, a lot of classic films. They have, for example, Citizen Kane, North by Northwest. They have, some old Godzilla films. They have Gojira, the original Japanese Godzilla, which I hadn't seen yet. And they have lots of franchise and blockbusters on there too. Like I'll tell you the truth, I had never seen Aliens before. I'd never seen that movie before, but it was one of the first movies I watched getting on the streaming service, and it was absolutely amazing. You can imagine for me seeing that movie for the first time, I don't have any complaints about it, and it's what really sold me on the service. Is as you can imagine, seeing a movie that good, it's like, well, this service probably has more movies like that I can find. And it also has Studio Ghibli films as well, which I haven't been able to watch anywhere else, but there's so many of them now. I have plenty of time to watch all of them. Another thing I will praise about this service is it actually loads really well. I have really bad internet at home, but HBO Max has so far been working the best for me. So yeah, all around, it just has a really good back catalog of movies if you're familiar with Warner Brothers and what they might own. Unfortunately, most people aren't, and that's why I think most people are sticking to Netflix and Disney Plus right now. I think what HBO Max needs is it needs a big show to really sell it on. Like they have the Green Lantern show coming, but and I guess they had a Friends reunion, which is supposed to be really big, but they didn't have any of that at launch. And I know they're doing the Snyder Cut, but I'm thinking less and less that that's going to be a big deal, because I think it's a a minority, but a very vocal minority that likes the Snyder Cut. That's a very vocal portion of fans. I think a lot of people have just moved on from the DCEU. But so HBO Max, it needs its big shows. It needs The Mandalorian. It needs like WandaVision. It needs the shows that Disney Plus has been promising to get people interested and to get people to sign up. So since I mentioned DC there, I will mention two criticisms I have with the streaming service. The first criticism is like with most streaming services, on the first day there are some glitches. For example, I would download a movie and it would say I have 29 days to watch it, and then it would glitch and give me 48 hours, or sometimes it wouldn't even download it even though I gave it the proper amount of time. So that was frustrating. The other thing I will criticize about HBO Max is that its DC content is very lacking. It barely has anything when you consider it for a streaming service. It doesn't have Batman the Animated Series. It doesn't have any really of the DCAU aside from one movie. And it doesn't, like, this HBO Max was advertised with The Dark Knight. They showed that in the advertisements. None of the Dark Knight movies are on this streaming service. If I were HBO or Warner Brothers, I would say that you need to launch this thing with a back catalog of DC stuff. I would have Batman the Animated Series on there. I would have Assault on Arkham. I would have Under the Red Hood for people to watch. But they don't have that because they have them outsourced to DC Universe and Netflix still, and that just seems like really bad planning to me. I don't know why DC Universe still exists if they want to push HBO Max. And so I'm not sure how much longer DC Universe is going to last. They need to get that content on HBO Max because that's where that's where it should belong. It shouldn't, you're never going to get that much subscribership out of just a DC streaming service. So those are my criticisms with HBO Max, and those are my praises. It has a lot of good content, but it still has some glitches, and it still has some areas that are lacking. I think it's worth the price if you're a big movie fan, but I think it needs to give something for people who aren't as familiar with Warner Brothers brand it needs to give them a reason to sign up. But I think I would hope, since I really do like the streaming service, I hope it does survive the streaming wars and it's able to branch out and become a big thing and just have some really great TV shows and movies that appear on it. So we'll see what happens. We'll see if they make the right decisions with it in the future. So thanks for watching my review. I would recommend HBO Max if you can get over the price point, and I hope that it's one of the streaming services that sticks around. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.